Hi, everyone around the world. We are here with our second open mic for a Smoke Long Summer. We have, I think, 10 readers today who will all be reading Flash, maybe Flash that they've written in the workshop. That we haven't really given any parameters for that, but this is a nice cross-section of the writers working in our workshop, A Smoke Long Summer. Our first reader is Laura D. Mysteriously, is an amateur spoken word artist and writer living in Ohio farm country. Laura D., tell us about Ohio farm country. Is this like a particular like farm country? Everybody knows where Ohio farm country is?
Well, anywhere you look, there's either soybeans or corn from my
Yeah,
windows. So
exactly. Okay, yeah, exactly.
pretty flat except for
Yeah.
the height of the crops.
Right. So soybeans is considerably lower than corn. Right. Yeah. If I remember driving through Wisconsin and Minnesota, I remember just fields and fields and fields and fields and fields. So that's where you live, smack dab in the middle of one of those fields. Excellent. Does that affect your writing?
Um, Not this particular piece.
So you were saying not this particular Flash. Okay. I think I understood that right. All right. So take it away. Go ahead.
This is resurrection. Scoop, scoop. A deep furrow forms in the sticky breakfast, mirroring the one on his tiny brow. This is the front loader, Mommy. Mm-hmm, I intone absently. My own spoon trails awake down the center of my bowl. It's digging a trench for Grammy. I startle back to the figure arranging his oatmeal. His head is still too big for his body. He needs a bright blue booster to even reach the tabletop. What is he saying about blue? Now they're putting her blue bed inside the trench. Scoop goes the spoon. Was I wrong to let him attend Mom's burial? Dear God, what if the lid of her coffin came ajar when the front loader lurched on that slippery spot? Mom would have been horrified. I reached for my phone, poised to share this grandchild anecdote with my most supportive audience. Then I remember. My hand rests instead on the watermelon encased in my top midsection. I exhale heavily. Mom, I am so sunk when this one arrives. What was I thinking? Trying for another one. Okay, I suppose I always imagined myself with four. Mom raised four. I was her best delivery, she reminisced every year on my birthday. So fast, she had to get a cop's escort to the hospital. Mom made birthing sound and parenting look natural, unscary, adventure-like even. With her a phone call away, I could handle anything. Mom, how am I going to bring this one into the world without you? Scoop. Now the front loader is covering up her bed. My blue-boosted construction worker completes his task and thoughtfully consumes the elements of play. He's my deep waters child, born in a thunderstorm. Right at the moment the heavy sky yielded, gushing life to the summer earth, he emerged. Mom was holding my hand. She told me how proud she was of me, how beautiful our baby was. My thoughts spill inward like the sides of the oatmeal trench behind his spoon. Mommy? The soft query reaches across the table. I look up from my unfinished bowl. Yes, sweetie? His forehead is smooth now. I love you, Mommy. He cradles my heart in his gaze. as though he would hold all the pieces until they mended.
Oh, thank you all. Beautiful. Very nice. Our second reader is L.J. Caparuso. Her bio says, wrote this that you are about to hear. And she lives in Toronto. And LJ, what's the writer community like in Toronto?
I wouldn't know. I spend most of my time by myself, so.
Yeah, I know. It's like I'm not sure if you were in our last event where we were talking to Sandra Carlson Khalil, who's in the Middle East, and she has a similar situation of I actually write by myself because I don't really have a writers group where I am, and I have lived in Germany for the last 30 years, and I hadn't also. Um, and what are you going to read for us today?
It's a story I wrote off the prompt last Friday, and
Great.
it's called In the Mirror. You tell yourself you're worthy. You don't believe it yet. Too many people have told you you're not. You repeat after the guru. I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. You feel stupid. You feel like a phony, like you've been failing all your life to be someone worthy of love, worthy of, you don't know what. It's too foreign. You choke back tears, and the air gets sour, puckering your heart. You tell yourself you're okay, that you'll be okay, and you hope that's true. You pray it is. But you're not sure. And you wonder if maybe there's just something wrong with you. You're pretty sure there is. You've been told you're too much, how you're never enough, how you load the dishwasher wrong, which reminds you to unload the dishwasher. And so you do, before someone gets home and asks why it's not done. So you hurry, unloading it, only you drop a glass and it shatters. And you curse yourself for doing something else wrong and wonder why you weren't born being more right, more like everyone else. And the tears come back, only harder. And soon they're flooding the kitchen floor, and the salty water is up to your ankles, the ones you've been told to hate, which you do, by the way, because hating yourself comes easier than the loving part. The loving part is hard. You don't know why, but you want to. And so you bend down, submerging your hands in that salty water, and search for your lost pieces of broken glass. Figure you'll press them back together somehow, make it whole again. And you don't care if that doesn't make sense. You leave it in, partly because you like the idea of it, and partly because you just cut yourself off one of those glass shards. And now your blood is spilling out from your fingertips all over the keyboard, which makes you proud because it's meta, but ashamed because it's nonsense. And so you crouch down and you climb into that empty dishwasher and hide. That you're good at, hiding. And you stay there for a while, longer than you mean to, in that dishwasher, partly because it's quiet, but mostly because you feel safe. Your stained body curled like a fetus inside its stainless steel walls. You squeeze your eyes shut and repeat, I love you, I love you, I love you, over and over, I love you, until one day you open your eyes, I love you, and somehow find your dishwasher reflection smiling, saying it back to you.
Love the vulnerability of that. Excellent.
Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah. You had me in every word. Our next reader is Pega Wuji. Pega is an Iranian-American writer who writes in Farsi and English. Her work has appeared or is forthcoming from Joyland, Epiphany, Fugue, Split Lip, Necessary Fiction, among others. She is currently an emerging writer fellow for the next 8 days at Smoke Log. Hi, Pega.
Hi, Chris.
How you doing?
Good. Thank you.
Your fellowship is coming to an end, and we'll be publishing an interview with you in the next few days. But what are your plans after the fellowship?
Um, One, to make it through the summer. My kids will be home this summer with me, so that would be new. But the other one is I'm hoping to apply for MFAs this winter. So
Hmm.
after that.
Excellent. Well, um, I don't know. In English, we cross our fingers. In German, we press our thumbs, and who knows why we do that? But every time I think I'm gonna, ich drücke dir die Daumen. Yeah, but of course we're rooting for you. What are you going to read for us today?
Thank you. I'm going to read this piece, Submerged. I think even some people here were in my group when I wrote this, and it was for the water element. I think it was in May. Submerged. It's raining hard when my daughter slams open the front door. Another day at first grade done. Gone are cloth diapers and fitful naps. Her slam rattles the house, rattles the still lake outside. Slightly, but in my head it feels louder. It always feels louder. Guess what? My homework is to save water, she says, holding up a paper, a cartoon drop of blue. I rinse. Wild-caught trout's scales slide down the drain. My daughter's fuel-raven backpack, rain jacket, boots, abandoned on the floor, shed like dead skin. A tornado child, a blizzard. She runs through the rooms. It's still raining hard. I rinse foam bubbles off dinner dishes. Every time you wash dishes, you waste 4 gallons of water, she says, fishing through the brimming recycling bin. She places the detergent lid under the bathroom's leaky faucet. We can water the plants with this, she says. A knock at the door. Her new non-toxic pajamas delivered. Unicorns riding rainbows. $50. Insurance against cancer, against infertility, against fears rummaging my mind at night. Post-bedtime, post-parenting, post-modern, post-humanity. What lies post us? It's still raining. I wonder, but don't say, with all this rain, do we need to save anymore? Outside the kitchen window, the lonesome cries of poor Wills. Her pajamas twice her size. She's a stick in a pillow. Brushes her teeth. I can only use this much water. She holds up a cup, the size of my espresso shots. Sips it, spits it. The mirror scrubbed with Dr. Bronner's natural cleaner, now marked with rivulets of spit. Non-fluoride toothpaste, bubblegum scent. Outside the lake murmurs, glitter-kissed. My fears grow with the moon. I read Winnie the Pooh. She laughs at a bear's aspiration to become a balloon. I laugh at my aspiration to become anything more than this. More like at natural motherhood. Hashtag know better, do better. Less plastic, more wood. Less punishment, more of course you can. Words foreign to my own ears. The laundry machine hums. Washing machine uses 14 gallons per load, Mama, she says, drooping eyelids, sleep, fighting the close of one day. I don't blame her. I too sometimes fear tomorrows, fear the growth of landfills, the waters rising, the forests sinking, the slow warming of our lives. I kiss her goodnight, escape to the backyard, the still lake, clouds gone, no more rain, the night a dynasty of the moon. I shed my clothes, my own dead skin, unencumbered, frigid cold, dive in the lake. Water lilies caress my calves, even my blood frozen. Water overhead, underfoot. My toes play Marco Polo with the American waterweed, escaping their foliage tentacles. My arms slice the water. Breath becomes air trapped in my lungs. Underwater, I reach for something I cannot see. Anything, elusive as frightened tadpoles. And as always, it slips. I reach again, grasping, gasping, reaching, failing, trying again.
That's fantastic, Vega. Thank you. I love the rhythms. Really cool. I'm really happy with that. Hey, Vega, give me a number between 3 and 136.
Ooh, 77.
77. Okay, we're going to give away some stuff. 77 is Kim Rogers. Okay, so Kim is, I haven't seen Kim, okay, Peggy, give me another number. Oh, just a second. Kim Rogers is going to get 25% off of anything in the shop. So we'll give that to Kim. So Pega, give me another number between 3 and 140. Sorry.
117.
117. And that will be Rita Revel Mitchell. Rita will also receive 25% off of anything in the shop. And one more. And this one needs to be between 3 and, oh, I'm sorry, no. 156 and 222.
Ooh, 156 and 200. 200.
All right, that's good. And that will be Terry Davis. Okay. So, and Terry Davis, I will let her know that she has won free feedback from 3 editors at Smoke Long, which you've been receiving, Pega, as part of the fellowship. And so, how has that gone? Have we done okay? Sorry, that's a stupid question.
You guys have done more than okay. Yeah, I always tell people, like, we're all learning to give better feedback. But one thing I've noticed about the senior editors' feedback is almost like they can see the system of a story, and then they know what's the one part to work on so that other things will fall into place, which I think is really wonderful, instead of just trying to fit different pieces together. So I always learn a lot from just reading that.
The one thing about getting feedback from 3 editors is sometimes they agree on things and sometimes they don't, right? It's not always the same. It's not 3 people who say exactly the same thing. Yeah. I notice that when I'm looking at them, I'm thinking, everyone has a little different approach to a story. And our next reader is Linda M. Bailey. Linda is a writer, textile artist, and civil servant living on the Canadian Shield with her husband and her cat. Her work has recently appeared in Void Space Zine, 5 Minutes, Flash Flood Journal, and Tiny Speck Sparks Everywhere, the National Flash Fiction Day 2024 anthology, and it is coming soon in Bull and to a short story dispenser near you. Find her on the Trainwreck, formerly known as Twitter, at LM Bailey. That's Bayley. Hi, Linda. How are you?
Nervous as all heck, but
Nervous?
yeah, but I've got my piece all marked up the way we were taught in our workshop.
Excellent. I was hoping somebody would mention the workshop with Farhana that we did. No need to be nervous. It's just us.
Yes.
Yeah. What would you like to read for today?
I want to read Shelter, which was my piece for the flash flood last week.
Okay, great.
And it was workshopped in March during the micro not madness yet marathon.
Exactly. March Micro Marathon.
Yeah.
I call it madness because I think New Zealand has that one. Which was actually the competition that I just judged, Micro Madness from New Zealand, the National Flash Fiction Day, New Zealand, which is actually today. That's the National Flash Fiction Day New Zealand is today. So if you see anything online for National Flash Fiction Day New Zealand, give it a like, follow them. They are good friends. Michelle Elvey is a good, well, let's not say old friend, but we've known each other for quite a long time. Okay, Linda, wonderful. Take it away.
Thank you. Shelter. Maybe Daddy and I didn't go for a walk in the woods that day. Maybe the crisp, cold sky wasn't so blue that we had to squint against it as we crunched across fresh white snow. Maybe I wasn't so small that I had to follow in each of Daddy's footprints, my calves sinking down into snow that reached only to his ankles, in case I lost a boot breaking my own ground. Maybe I didn't spy a cocoon hanging from a bare winter twig. Maybe I didn't point and ask what it was. Maybe he told me it was a katydid cocoon, but maybe he didn't. Maybe I didn't ask what was inside. Maybe he didn't pull the twig from the tree, didn't pry the dry brown husk apart. Maybe he didn't show me the insect sheltering inside. Maybe, curiosity satisfied, I didn't ask if we could put it back. Maybe he didn't lift his hands and shoulders in a shrug before throwing the twig and the husk to the ground to be covered over and forgotten in the next storm. Maybe he didn't tell me there was no going back. Maybe he didn't turn and trudge away. Maybe I didn't cry. Maybe, as he drove me back to Mommy's house, we weren't completely silent. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Wonderful reading. Thank you so much, Linda. And that was in Flash Flood
Yeah.
for the National Flash Fiction Day. Excellent.
Yeah.
I know they have thousands of entries each year, and they have a team just really working so hard on finding the right stories to share. And the Flash Flood, if you don't know anything about this, just Google Flash Flood UK, and our good friends Ingrid Jędrzejewski and several other people who work very closely with us as well are very much involved in that. And our next reader is Claudia Montpere. Claudia Montpere lives in the San Francisco Bay Area, as we said before. Her flash appears in Smokelong Quarterly, Split Lip, Craft, Pithead Chapel, Atlas and Alice, Milk Candy Review, The Forge, and elsewhere. She received the 2023 Smokelong Workshop Prize for the story Solar Flare and will appear in Best Small Fictions 2024 with the story Solar Flare. Am I correct, Claudia? Is that right?
Yep, that's the story, yeah.
Yeah, and that story was good for you. I mean, really good for you. I'm so happy. It's such a memorable story and a devastating story. But that's
well, and it came from a Smokelong prompt, and I think it might have been yours, Chris, about a character being obsessed with something, and readers don't know what, no one understands the obsession. So
yeah, and in that case, it was
that
the
prompt.
Statistics,
It was the sun,
science.
obsession with the sun. Yeah.
Excellent story. Such a memorable story. Solar Flare and Atlas and Alice. If you haven't had time to read that.
Thank you.
Okay, what are you going to read for us today?
I'm going to read What the Stars Want, and it's a piece I drafted in Smokelong maybe a year ago, and then I revised it significantly more recently in Smokelong. Okay. What the Stars Want. After eating her Salisbury steak dinner, the old woman Edith fell asleep over an Eleanor Roosevelt biography. Awakening at 10:22 p.m., she pulled herself up to her walker and struggled to the bedroom. Floating over her bed, something large and white and puffy. Damn if it wasn't a cloud. Magic? Maybe she'd call her granddaughter. They used to do magic tricks together. But Amber was busy with swim team and piano and friends, and the old woman remembered how last Christmas her daughter sighed, "Mom, don't you remember she thinks that magic stuff is babyish?" Edith opened her window. "What's going on out there?" she called to the stars. The cloud over her bed was larger now, drifting slowly toward her. She phoned her daughter, who said she was seeing things and should go back to sleep. She'd be over first thing in the morning. It was time to sign the contract at Oak Hills. "Don't cry," said the daughter. "I hate bingo," the old woman said. "I know I'm old, but how awful to live with only people like me." Jennifer forgave her husband after he wept, saying he'd slit his own throat before he ever hurt her again. And yes, he knew this was the third time. He was a piece of shit. Hell should swallow him up. He didn't deserve her. And yes, maybe they should return to marriage counseling. And he brought her ice packs and Advil, and she tried to sleep. But his sleep breathing made her furious, and she was glad she was wearing the nightgown he hated, faded blue checks in soft flannel, and she went to make tea. But when she opened the cabinet, there was a white cloud inside, and it floated out, growing to the size of a raft, hovering just above the floor. And she opened the window, sat in the cloud, and floated into the sky. Katie had an accident again during the night. Ma Wilson would be furious. 7 years old, she'd say. Disgusting. The girl crept out of bed, not waking the other foster kids. She peeled off the wet sheet and the bottom of her PJs, getting a spare pair from the bag under her bed. She went to the bathroom to rinse everything. But when she swept aside the bath curtain, there was a wedding gown laid out in the tub. Katie put it on. It hung from her tiny frame in shiny, glittering folds of white satin. She twirled, then tripped, a bloody gash on her knee. She removed the gown, bandaged her knee, put on clean PJs, rinsed the pee part of the sheet and the bottom of her PJs, and sat on the bathroom floor drying them with a hairdryer. When she felt herself falling asleep, she thought of Ma Wilson, spit flying from her mouth. She thought of Camp Sammy and Oliver, who called her diaper girl and peed in her bed sometimes to get her in trouble. Finally, she returned to bed, putting the still damp sheet back on. She took the pillowcase out of its case and carefully folded the wedding dress inside, then fell asleep, her dark hair feathered on her wedding gown pillow. Katie awoke to a woman in a blue checkered nightgown stroking her cheek, whispering, "Come on, sweetie, come with me." The woman was a stranger, but her voice was gentle. "Let's get your slippers on. Do you have a robe?" The girl shook her head, but removed the wedding gown from the pillowcase. The woman wrapped the girl in it, taking her hand and heading to the open window. A cloud hovered just outside, an old woman seated inside, waving. "Am I dreaming?" asked Katie. "No," said the old woman. "This is much better than a dream. Come in." Katie and the woman stepped into the cloud, which felt both fluffy and sturdy. We do need a sail if we're going anywhere," the old woman said. Katie shook off the wedding gown and held it out. "Perfect. This is a 3-person job. Let's all stand and shake it. Oh, my damn hip." But it took just a few shakes, and the gown bloomed and split into 2 sails. A mast and rigging appeared. The sky shimmered silver as they floated. Katie whispered, "Where are we going?" "I'm not really sure," the woman answered. "Somewhere better." "I'm kind of scared," Katie said. "I know, sweetie, me too," said the woman. "Are you scared?" Katie asked the old woman, who shrugged and smiled. "Maybe a bit." "Well," Katie said, "we could sing." "Ah," said the old woman, "the stars would love that."
I never muted myself. I'm always rapt when you tell a story. I I think uh, uh, this is a really nicely layered story, and it could be the type of story that you could take wherever you wanted to. Oh my goodness, what a great story. Okay.
Thank
Uh,
you.
yeah, the cloud. So magic realism uh, is uh, is difficult for some. How much do you go back and forth from, say, magic realism or to a realistic, so realism?
Oh my God, all the time. I like sometimes I'll start a story and I'll know it's going to be realism or magical realism, but I'd say maybe 50% of the time I'll start a story and I won't know. And
Mhm.
then it just
Okay, so
happens.
so the cloud. Did that just come up, and you were like, oh, there's gonna be a cloud float out of the pantry or the
You
cabinet?
know, I all I remember is that I've been trying so hard to have more hope in my stories because I feel like my stuff is so damn bleak. And so um the cloud just seemed like something that could lend hope. And I worried actually that it would be too hopeful. Um
Yeah, exactly. Because Flash is not supposed to be hopeful. Come on,
yeah, yeah.
it's supposed to be really dark and really like yeah. But yeah, I got the hope. I like the hope. Uh,
Thank you.
yeah, we're always looking for hopeful stories, and it's just so hard to do. Just so hard to do.
Really hard, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Our next reader is Shai Dugan. Shai Dugan is a writer born and raised in the border city of El Paso, Texas. She attended the Iowa Writers Workshop summer program and is a current Smoke Long Quarterly Fellow until the end of the month. Her work has appeared in the Amazine, Exist Otherwise, and elsewhere. She lives with her family in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Hi, Shai.
Hi,
How you doing?
I'm good.
I know how you're doing because we just spoke in the breakout room. What are you going to read for us today?
Okay, I'm going to read a fiction piece that started in the workshop.
Mhm.
It is called I Am Neither Prepared Nor Do I Want for This to End. The little town I was calling home for the month had been swallowed up by brooding clouds. It was 6 a.m. when the sirens woke me. They sang like a soft purr across my room, riding on the blades of the pumping fan. Rain and wind whispered outside and sent me back to sleep for a moment until the automated phone call warning me to seek shelter. Tornado in area drew me to pull a sweater on, slip my feet into sandals. I loaded snacks into my purse. This seemed important. Who knew how long I'd be down there? Someone ran by my window, another resident at the complex, and I suddenly felt an urgency that hadn't previously existed. I started down the stairs before I realized I had left all my belongings inside by the door. I had only my keys in hand. I couldn't remember if I had even locked up. Dollops of rain slapped my face and swam in my ears. When I reached the basement, there were two other women already there. One was sipping from a coffee mug, something I immediately acknowledged as being a point of jealousy. She made a pot between the sirens. She needed coffee. I wanted to ask if that was safe, but the time had already passed to ask this. She sat the empty mug on the floor. The basement became a laundry room for $1.50. Lint flecked the cracked concrete, water puddled below exposed pipes. Thunder rattled the skeleton of the old complex. The other woman was looking at her phone, feeding us the unfortunate news. We'd be here for a good while. She sat in a plastic chair with her knees hugging, her feet a distance apart. I asked if she was used to this, though I already knew by looking at her. She wasn't from here. Neither was the coffee drinker who told us her name was Kat. Where were the other residents, the locals, to calm us? I pressed the sleeve of my shirt into my ears and absorbed the remnants of water. They probably went to a friend's house. They might have a couch, Kat said. I looked around and realized we weren't set up for a long stay. The nervous woman, Amaya, grunted in, "Aw, shit," as she looked at her lap, passed her phone and into her crotch. She stood up and asked, "Is it bad?" Blood streaked the stitching of her pajama pants, thin and gray and hanging with the weight of the damp spot. Kat dug through the bag at her side. I was impressed by her preparedness, but the bag was just full of pretzels and Cheez-Its and had nothing we could use in this situation. I found a row of mismatched socks sitting by the community laundry detergent, a sort of purgatory they would not be returning from. Socks of athletic stretch to cotton strength, cursed to never find their mate. I felt for them, though I knew they could not feel their loss. We heard the hail start, tapping against the one rectangle window that was a tool to discern how dark the sky had become. Kat joined me and started collecting lint from the floor. It had fallen from the dryer on the way to the trash, though we couldn't be entirely sure of this. Kat shot me a look I knew. We have no other option. We are women supporting women. We do what we have to. We assured Amaya that it was clean. Kat secretly picked a long black hair out of a wad before she handed it to me, and I stuffed it into a sock. Amaya was watching the weather on her phone. We did this until the sock couldn't swallow any more. The sky sounded as if a toddler was clapping pans together. The small window shattered, and quarter-size hail began pounding the lid of the washing machine, a sharp and continuous pinging. The toddler was throwing a tantrum, didn't want to leave, was running, naked in defiance, and we just had to wait. I handed the makeshift pad to Amaya. A seriousness still caked her face. She reached into her pants and slid it in place. Amaya pulled me and Kat into a unifying hug, and I couldn't remember the last time I had been hugged by another woman, and now I had two warm bodies pressed against my own. Amaya pulled away first, looked back into the screen of her phone, and said, "Oh, we've gotten all clear. I guess we can leave." It felt like 40 days, but it had only been 40 minutes. I was sure we had developed a new kindred bond, something primal through shared instinct, forged in survival. Kat pushed open the door to the basement, and we tracked our sandals through wet grass, wind whipping our hair, and we went our own way. On the outside, our shared bond had dissipated like the density of the clouds prior, now one blue-gray space above me, distant and confusing. We had returned to being neighbors, though I wasn't sure which unit they actually belonged to if I'd ever see them again. Would they try to find me? I reached my unit, unlocked the door, and started eating the snacks from my purse. I listened for sirens. I wanted to seek shelter. Thank you.
Thank you. Of course, I remember reading this story from feedback. Yeah. And such a human story. It's like I think we've all experienced this this tornado of a connection, and then it dissipates, and then it goes off into thin air. And we thought we had a connection, didn't we? Now, but you know, we've shared a connection for the past 6 months. Oh my God, Shy. And so the fellowship is coming to an end, and so we've talked about giving feedback and receiving feedback, and we haven't talked about reading the queue. Now, you have read almost 500 submissions in the Smoke Long queue. I think this is you and Pega and Kelly and Dawn each has read almost 500 submissions in the Smoke Long queue. What has that done for your writing?
I think it's really easy now to sort of see what works in Flash from like a craft perspective. Also, just specifically Flash from short story, which I didn't know the difference really when I started the fellowship. I thought Flash was just under 1,000 words, but it's really not. So I've learned that, and it's really easy to tell what's working in Flash when you're reading the submission queue. And just I really love reading a piece that I find a really strong connection with, and then sort of being like the first reader for that piece, and then championing it all the way to the end, and then just sort of seeing where it goes. So that's been really, really exciting. And so I think I've found at first I was really nervous about like putting my thoughts into the submission queue about a piece. But now I really love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and of course, if a piece gets to the senior editor level and we're all talking about it, everyone stays in the conversation. So there are probably 8 people talking, and 8 people with different opinions about the piece, and sometimes very different opinions about the piece. And it's so sad when you love a piece and then someone comes up and says, not, and you're like, oh no, they don't see it. They don't see it. So yeah. So art is subjective, and we take it very, very seriously in the queue, and we're so thankful for all the work all of the fellows have done this past 6 months. The next opportunity to apply for the fellowship, it opens in October, and it will be for the 6-month period of January through June 2025. So that's the next time, and everyone will be seeing that. And so, Shai, we wish you so much success with your writing. Thank you so much.
Thank
We're
you.
going to give away. Hey, Shai, do this for me. Give me a number between 3 and 139.
Okay, 115.
Okay. I'm on the wrong list. Just a second. 115. Okay. This is Ralph Utero. He probably pronounces his last name Utero, but Utaro, or I'm actually going to ask Ralph how he says his name one day. Ralph is going to get free feedback from 3 senior editors. Okay. And Shai, give me a number between 3 and 139.
5.
5. That's a nice number. That's right at the beginning. And this number is Allison Wassell. Allison Wassell, who will also be getting feedback from 3 editors. And a number between just a second. It is 156 to 222.
199.
Ooh, 199. And that is Helen Piper. Helen Piper. She will be getting a copy of Flash Fiction America. And one more number between 156 and 222.
211.
211. Cleopatra will be getting a book of her choice from the virtual book fair. And if you haven't had a chance to browse the virtual book fair, it is on the left of your screen. Scroll down, and there are at least 25 publishers who are giving discounts, and some as much as 50%. And we'll be talking to a few of those publishers in July. And we'll also be talking to 3 writers of Flash collections. We'll be talking to Chelsea Stickle, Brett Biebel, and Avitus B. Carl on the 6th of July about their collections. And so I hope you'll stop by for that. And of course, we'll be giving away their books. Thank you so much, Shai. Our next reader is Francine Witt. Francine Witt's latest book of flash fiction is Radio Water from Roadside Press. She is the flash fiction editor for Flash Boulevard and South Florida Poetry Journal. She lives in New York. Welcome, Francine. What are you going to read for us today?
Thank you. I'm going to read, I think I might have time for 2, but I'll just start with 1 and see how far I get. This first one is, it's called Large Bird, and I wrote it last summer in Smoke Long. And then it got published in Milk Candy Review. So see how far this takes me. Large Bird. crash of foam across the jetty, and you feel like your heart has been swallowed again. Everything craggy around you, the rocks, of course, but also love. You came here on vacation to lose yourself for a week. You watched the birds, almost too large, you thought, lugging themselves in the humid air, and finally pressed down from the sky. One was trying to warn you. Instead, you lapped around in the cooling blue, laid yourself on the beach like a sheet of white paper, and later you went to the hotel bar with its drinks all pink with an ice cube, with umbrellas too small for the rainstorm of the stranger 3 stools down. How his eyes themselves were a cooling blue and looked at you, then down to his finger, tracing the saltless rim of a margarita, the same tracing motion he would later use on you, on your stomach, your thighs, and into your own deep salt ocean. And you fell in love so hard, so jetty crashed that even after he checked out cold, without even a text, you couldn't answer this bird who knows more about love than you ever have, and was trying so hard to warn you, it fought its own natural need to be in the sky. And when the bird gives up, sees you are the lostest of causes, he skitters away, plops up on the jetty, and hefts himself upwards till he becomes cloud, an unspoken fleck of rain, and anything else that belongs in the sky. And you watch him getting smaller and smaller, finally fading like a warning, like a wrong love beginning to die. And I think I do have time for the second one. The cake, the smoke, the moon. It is 4th of July, and the pop smoking the air, and the gray foggy fingers stretch way up into the humid night and dig down into the water. We sit there on the beach. We are lined up like questions. Where does smoke go when it dies? One of us says we are children and we don't need to know. Another of us decides it is time for cake. We eat the cake, and a third one says we have to wait an hour now. She is the one who will follow the trail of the smoke fingers into the water that even an hour from now will be lit up only by the moon. The rest of us will wait safe on the beach, cake crumbs on the blanket. We will watch the water open its mouth and swallow. The one walking into the water and looking for the smoke will never find it, and we can only watch as she never pops her head up like a firework dud. The lifeguards run their useless legs into the water, and even the moon knows it's too late. Thank you.
Lovely. You have such good instincts for the micro, and of course you're a poet, and you're wonderful. Thank you, Francine. Now,
Thank you so much.
everyone, Francine's actually in the virtual book fair. Now, if you scroll down to authors offering signed copies. So signed copies from the author, directly from the author. You can, Francine will send you a signed copy of selected collections. So just remind you that she's in the book fair. And of course, there are a couple of other people in that signed copy directly from the author's bit down there. Our next reader is Catherine Plumhoff. Catherine Plumhoff is from the Great Lakes and now lives by the sea. Her short fiction appears in X-Ray, Quarter After 8, Flash Frog, Gone Lawn, and Heavy Feather Review. Her story, The Bread of Life, was selected for Best Small Fictions 2024. Reach her at K. Plumhoff, that's with 2 F's, or Catherine Plumhoff at .com. Hi, Catherine. How are you?
Hi, Chris. I love you saying my last name with its German intonation.
I know. I've been trying. I was thinking, Plumhoff? What,
Plumhoff is its Americanized version, but like
Plumhoff.
my grandpa would be saying Blumhoff with pride.
Plumhoff. Yeah, exactly. And you remember me telling the story of my introducing Kara Werner for the Flash Fiction America reading, and I just instinctively said Caravana. And she was like, "Oh, please, you say it that way because it sounds much better." I don't know. I don't know if it does. Progress, Hof, Plumhof. I don't know. I don't know. What are you going to read for us?
I am going to read y'all a selection of a snippet from a story that's being published in X-Ray later this summer. It's 300 words, so I figured if I was going last, it'd be nice and short to finish on, but it's not the whole story. So if you're left with desires to hear rest, you can read it soon. And the story is called Go to Hell, and it is about a woman who gets literally sent to hell for stalking her ex-boyfriend's new girlfriend, and who among us can't relate. Okay, so I'm going to read you this scene. I want thousands of people to witness every moment of my life, and I want those moments to be perfect tableaus of wealth and good taste, each carousel soaked in contentment, hand-thrown pottery and cornflower blues, transitioning to a rainy city street strewn with street lamps, transitioning to me in a billowy blouse, open-mouthed and laughing. I want the people who witness me living well to be famous in their own chosen careers, blue-ticked and beautiful. I want to see and be seen at London Fashion Week and go straight to Milan Fashion Week after having RSVP'd no to New York Fashion Week because I needed some time to rest, some time to nest, some time to walk barefoot over the underfloor heating of my 3-story townhouse where I host parties and serve artisanal bread and 8 kinds of cheese to people who don't eat. I want to be the one they all watch. I thought the shift in the tone of Dee's lives meant Paul had dumped her when she moved. I would still see her one day, I knew, but my daydreams of our time together changed. I'd be magnanimous, the hatchet fully buried, and invite her to aperitivos. We'd sit across a small metal table, and our voices would rise with every round until we'd be walking down a cobblestone road with our arms around each other, laughing at stories about the man who didn't love us, wrapping ourselves in solidarity. Then Paul posted from Milan. I'd seen this upon checking his profile a few weeks into sleeping with a man who was in the ensemble of the Oklahoma revival, when I thought I was over Paul and wanted to confirm that hypothesis. I should have known better. You can only get over a man with a better one. And this one shouted "Yeehaw" in an American accent when he came.
Okay, can I laugh?
Please, and please.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, who hasn't had that experience? Anyway, okay, thank you so much, Catherine. Excellent, and I can't wait. X-Ray, right? Yeah, go to X-Ray, everyone. It's a great journal. If you don't know X-Ray, just write X-Ray Literary Journal and write X-R-A-Y, and you'll find it very easily. Our next reader is Allison Jones. Allison Jones is a Chicago-born, Amsterdam-based writer and mother. She was a 2023 Quayle Journal Fellow and has received support from the Fine Arts Work Center Women Who Submit Black Women Writers in Europe and the Napa Valley Writers Conference. Welcome, Allison.
Hi, thanks.
Hey, sorry, you're having to go near last. Alyssa Field is actually going to go last. I'm sorry, Alyssa. But okay, what are you going to read for us today, Allison?
I'm going to read something that I have been working on in Smoke Long this past week. It's called Incompetent. You'd probably pass by our house without thinking twice, or if you stopped, it would be because you're a judgmental person who likes to point out others' flaws, peeling paint, overgrown vines, a side porch needing repairs, all things we saw when there was a for sale sign in the yard, when we were newlyweds, dreaming of our future. We bought the house not for what it is, or what it was, but for what it could be. It wasn't until my third miscarriage that I realized we'd gotten married in the same way. Not that we wanted to fix each other, but we wanted the dream of the future more than the reality of us at present. That's normal. I'd bet that's what most people get married for. Otherwise, why bother? It's a stepping stone towards something until it's just a stone, a thorn in your shoe. That's what I am to my husband, this woman in the attic. He's called me that before. Although I rarely climb the pull down ladder to go through the boxes of our before life, where we store the unused gifts, the tiny clothes that look like they might fit a doll, the cradle that's been in his family for years, the car seat covered in a layer of dust. No, he calls me that because I choose to stay in the vined side of the house during the day. Call me superstitious if you must. At this point, who wouldn't be? I had to have a stitch put in, a cerclage they called it, to fix my damn incompetent cervix. It kept dropping our babies out of the nest. That's what they look like. Tiny bird creatures, no hair or feathers, delicate, lightweight bones, blue veins beneath his eyelids. But don't worry about me. The doctor said to rest, and for that I need darkness. In the grayish light that peeks through the leaves around the vines, I can imagine this baby and I are both in the womb of the house, protected. My husband, a skeptic, wanted to take a break, not put so much pressure on ourselves. If he had a cervix, it wouldn't be incompetent. He just got another promotion at work. He could probably carry 2 children with ease while I keep dropping our babies out of me like the clumsiest of mothers. And I want to say to this baby, stay in. It's safer inside.
Wow. Thank you so much. Yeah, we have a theme going today. Thank you. So yeah, we could publish an anthology just from the stories today. And thank you, Allison. Our next and final reader is Alyssa Field. Alyssa is a former emerging fellow and a current submissions editor with Smokelong Quarterly. Her stories have appeared or are forthcoming in Smokelong, Fractured Lit, Fiction, Fictive Dream, Citron Review, Monkey Bicycle, Maudlin House, Bull, Reckon Review, Ghost Parachute, Had, and elsewhere. She has begun submitting her flash fiction collection and querying a novel. Find her at Alyssa Field on the train wreck formerly known as Twitter, or her site, AlyssaLaurenField.com. Your middle name is Lauren?
Yeah, secret's out. Yep. I think that's how I mark the progression of my writing maturity, is I dropped my middle name somewhere along the way.
My middle name is Dirk.
Oh, I've seen that before. Yeah.
If you get a personal email from me, you see it. Christopher Dirk. I grew up with Dirk as a name, and I had absolutely no idea that you pronounced it Dirk in German, which is much better than Dirk. Okay, Alyssa, what would you like to read for us today?
So I'm going to read a story that I wrote just a week or two ago in Smokelong Summer, and I want to hear it out loud because I'm still trying to figure out if it works. But I appreciate the feedback that I've gotten on it so far. So the title is Danny Santo Was a Liar. My mother couldn't hold back telling me so once Danny'd gone. My mother, bent scraping the remaining crust of dough off cookie cutters and the butcher block from the Girl Scout badge Danny and I had earned at my mother's expense. Water ran in the sink. Through the window, Danny's blonde shag bounced off down the street, disappearing past the last of the dying elms. You don't spill tea to the young, but my mother hissed out as if her balloon couldn't hold it 1 second longer. There's no such thing as a sleeping bag with bookcases that pop out. Danny and I had a week until the Girl Scout camping trip. I'd bought the cheap washcloth the Girl Scout guide instructed us to pin around a bar of soap, earned a badge for that. Had bought my first flashlight, mosquito repellent, rubber flip-flops to keep from getting the plague from the concrete shower floor, folding tin cup, a compass. My mother used a paring knife to carve the last bit of dough from the soldered groove of a cookie cutter, a dog shaped from a metal strip that my mother treated with care as if it were a museum piece. There had been seals and elephants and a horse on its hind legs, ball gowns and glass slippers. Danny's favorite had been a crown. These cookie cutters had been my mother's kitchen, the first place I'd made cookies, and had gifted my Nan the legendary story of how my brother tricked me into putting slivered almonds on all the gingerbread boys in a place that a boy might have something to hang down. With a towel, my mother dried the last moisture from each metal crease. The Cub Scout guide, not the one for girls, taught the importance of sharpening blades on a stone, of oiling knives after use, the science of rust, oxidation, the actual word. My mother looked off down the street. Danny would have turned the corner now. There was a trampoline in Danny's back garden. They had a dog who smelled. The dank of its shedding coat clung to the couch and shag carpet of their bare brown family room where her father drank beer from golden cans. My mother gave that sad mother look. You had to feel sorry, didn't you, for a bairn thinking they had to make up shit like that? The lie? Danny had said her father had bought her a sleeping bag, but not a regular one. The sleeping bag he bought her had pop-out bookshelves. Sconces, she'd stressed the word as if writing Jane Eyre, that folded out so you didn't have to hold a light. I knew Danny mentioned shelves because I had books she liked to borrow. I felt her ivy cling of envy. Knew, without there being a metal band shaped to form a perfect cutout, the general shape of what my mother meant. What my mother would think of an ashtray left piling up on a coffee table, boots up beside empty beer cans. No way Danny missed any more than I did the weight of pity showered over her as my mother hailed out all those perfect cookie cutter shapes, 2 different recipes of dough, 6 different colors to ice with, 8 different bottles of nonpareils, each of us testing out the French of that word, not just sprinkles, they were nonpareil. Silver balls and candy stars and confetti flake and red hots. Danny had cut a crown, frosted it a color thick with dye, spilled half a bottle of nonpareils on top so that sugar confetti fell off the edges of her cookie like lemmings, asked for a camera to take a picture, and bit the head off my white rabbit before his frosting had dried. My mother called Danny out on the lie. Oh, now, Danny, you don't have to tell tales. No, it's true, Danny had said. He bought me 2 of them, only he's returning those sleeping bags because they weren't good enough. He wants me to get something better. My mind raced with that. The trampoline, the worker boots, the dog who'd fetch, shag carpet, dark rooms, an older brother who'd given her his old mitt, a father who'd taught her to catch. All I could think looking down that empty road, the gritty tarmac still seething with springs retarring, I had to go after her. You don't let go of a one who would make up shit like that, do you? Poke, prod, find a way to climb inside, want to squeeze until more came out. Screen door slams when I run after. The cheap rubber flip-flops cut between my toes slip out of place so my feet scald from the ooze of that summer tar. Laugh, running round the corner to track her down. Find that something better. False panels, secret doors, a winding staircase, a hidden room I'd never known was there.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Alyssa. Yeah, wonderful detail. You're really, really good with the exact detail. Okay, Alyssa, give me a number between 156 and 222.
156.
150.
Let's think about that guy who's on the cusp going, dude, they're never going to call my number.
Yeah. Right. Okay, your number is 63, Alyssa. No, I'm joking. I don't know what your number is. I have to look. Okay, but this number is Pam Abuledo. Is Pam here? Oh, we have one Pam here. Okay, so maybe it's the next Pam. Okay, so Pam Abaledo is going to get try Smoke Long Fitness. That's a 2 months of Smoke Long Fitness for free. Okay, give me a number between 136 and 222. No, 156 and 222, Alyssa.
What's my range again? Can I do 175?
Yeah, 175. Excellent. Very good. Very good. That's so funny. Pam, Tournier, do you pronounce yourself Tournier? Or Tournier?
Yes, I do. Tournier.
Tournier. Thank you. Thank you. That's the way I would have pronounced it. Well, then you have also won. Try Smoke Long Fitness. That's 2 months Smoke Long. After Smoke Long summer is over, you just tell us when you want 2 months of Smoke Long Fitness.
Oh, thank you
Yeah.
so much.
This is after August because August is actually included. So you get so you could do it in September or whenever you want.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And then we have one more. And this actually, Alyssa, is 3 to 139.
76.
76 trombone. Is that what you were thinking? Okay, 76. I know, I'll try to get this over with as soon as possible. 76, which is Ani King. Ani, are you still here?
I see.
I am.
Well, yeah, you won.
I did. That's awesome. I
No.
never win these things.
You do too.
Now I do.
You win lots of stuff. Okay, yeah. Actually, Ani won the Flash Frog, the last Flash Frog competition. So come on, now I know you're a big winner. Okay, so Ani, you have won a pack of 3 books from the book fair. And so it needs to be from the same publisher because, man, we're not going to pay the shipping.
That will not be a problem.
Yeah, same publisher. Now, Travis, if Travis is still here, I'm not sure. Travis can tell you that he won the last pack of 3 books, and Bell Point Press already delivered them yesterday.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, we're speedy. And
I'm here, and it's good.
Hey, Travis, have you already read all 3 books?
Not all 3. No, I'm not that. I'm a slow reader.
Yeah, so am I. And you can imagine being a slow reader with the submissions queue. I'm like, so even if it's Flash, it's still for me. I'm just like, oh, I have to concentrate. If somebody comes into the room and breaks my concentration, I curse them out. Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah. I read for a meta worker, and if I get something that's like, they have longer stories, and if I get something that's like 3,000 or 4,000 words, I'm like, all right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as Flash writers and readers, I think we are a little bit spoiled. Like, it's like, you have to hold my attention, baby. Yeah. It's like, yeah. No dragging, no saggy middles. Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. So I will be sending out the information to the winners of the big ass raffle. If you don't know what the big ass raffle is, it's the big Smoke Long Summer big ass raffle and we'll be giving away some more prizes, including a year of Smoke Long Fitness that's coming up next time. All right, so thank you everyone for reading. I'm sorry that we went over a little bit, but thank you for sticking around, and I'll see you in the workshop. Bye bye, everyone. Bye bye.
All right. See ya.